Say, kids, what time is it?
It's kind of like watching TV, but, in your car.
4.7 The Cave, Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens in the studio. It is Dark Side of the Stream, episode 186, Beyond Utopia. This was my pick. You can watch it on Hulu. If you haven't watched it yet, I strongly suggest that you do before you watch us talk about it in this episode of Dark Side of the Stream. Ugh. What a tough
watch, yeah.
Tough documentary. Again, I picked this just because it was something that I was interested in, and I got some answers. I also they did a really good job explaining how we got to this point between North and South Korea.
Yeah, that was a nice little history lesson. I had no clue.
I knew that it had to do after the armistice of World War II, how we separated it, but really the communists kind of did us bad and tried to take over the entire island before they could actually vote on what they wanted themselves, albeit the Korean War and everything else that happened after. It's also crazy to think that a country like this in this world in 2024 exists. It'd be like if, for example, we didn't completely eradicate Nazi Germany and this one little pocket around Berlin exists, right? Just a circle around that city. And since then, no one has been able to go in and change their mentality. They still do what they want, and their people are essentially Nazis, and they get to do whatever they want.
It's crazy
and they
that the people have no idea this outside world is so different.
They're so crazy to the point where they and I don't want to get into this too far because this will be basically there's really there's three, but two escape stories going on in this documentary. One that turns out good, one that does not turn out so good. The one he's referring to, there was a very old elderly woman, I believe in her 80s, that escaped with her family of 5. And after it's over, she's still referring to Kim Jong-un as like a supreme being thing. But at the same time, you can see her like mentally making this change where she's trying to like deprogram her brain from believing that this guy is some sort of superhuman hero god thing. And then she's like, I don't know why it took me so long to get out in the first place.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's not good. Dude.
Insane. And again, there are no reenactments in this documentary. Everything that is shot was either shot via video in South Korea footage, or on a cell phone, where they would then take out the memory card, hide it somewhere on their body. I'll let you figure that out where it was, and then smuggle it out of North Korea into South Korea or another country that would allow them to do it. But before you get to South Korea, you got to go on a very long journey. And we'll talk about that next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. 104.7 The Cave, Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens in the studio. Dark Side of the Stream, episode 186, Beyond Utopia. So this documentary tells the story of a pastor who is in South Korea, who is essentially part of a network of North Korean officials, North Korean guards, police in China, army guys in China, and this network of people that will essentially take bribes to allow dissenters from North Korea to escape. Now, before you think like, okay, all you got to do is just jump over the border. No. They can't
That's
go
what you would think. That's what you would think.
The demilitarized zone is literally miles and miles of landmines. So there's no going that way. You can't go that way. So the only option you have is to go north, cross a river that's also extremely dangerous, get across the river, somehow sneak through China, go down through Vietnam into Laos, and then into Thailand, cross Thailand back to the ocean, and then get on a boat and get somehow back into South Korea.
Insane, dude.
We're talking in one of these cases, it's a story of a family of 5 that they find out is essentially got across the river, and they're trying to figure out how to get them. The pastor essentially bribes all these people along the way.
Props to that pastor, dude, for putting his neck out there, man.
You're 110% right. This dude was just going to like seminary school. He happens to be right up on the other side of the border, and he sees all these little kids begging for money, and he's like, what's the deal with them? Where are their parents? And they're all like, look, some of them escaped from North Korea. Some of them were kidnapped when they got here. Now these kids are just roaming the streets. And that's when he decided that was his mission.
Made his life mission. Yeah.
Not only that, but this dude has almost been killed. Like, I mean, he very early on in the documentary, he talks about all the broken bones, all the things that the surgeries he's had. He looks good. He said he looks good on the outside, but on the inside, he's nuts.
I'm sure this dude has a target on his back too, man.
And the fact that he just doesn't care. I mean, he does a good job. He does a great job of protecting the people and the sources. But at the end of the day, it just goes to show you how corrupt the entire thing is, right? You've got this regime that enslaves their people in this way, but at the same time, every person on the level all the way up is willing to take an amount of money to just look the other way.
Yeah.
So again, your system failed. And you see it every single day. But their story, luckily, they were able to get out. It wasn't the only story, though. And we'll talk about the sad one next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. 104.7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens in the studio. Dark Side of the Stream, episode 186. So we heard the happy ending. You find out that the family does eventually get out of, dude. But that's the thing is, like, insane, when they're following them, like, you don't realize, like, this isn't reenactment stuff. They're literally using the cell phone footage they captured while they're
tarps,
while
like,
they're sleeping in tarps on the side of a mountain in China. And again, they make their way through all these countries that if at any point they're captured,
you're done. Yeah,
you got your choices are you're going to get sent back to North Korea, you might go to jail in China, or if the wrong person gets you, you might be sent into sex trafficking or human trafficking.
Yeah, you might be a slave.
Who knows what's going to happen? But for most people who escape or defect, that's a better situation than being in North Korea. Which leads me to the sad story. The woman who got out when she had I don't know, how old was he? Like 7, 8 years old, something like that.
8 or something, yeah.
She had been caught trying to defect, came back. She's pretty much getting put into like a concentration camp. She knew that her options were slim and that she probably was going to die, so she had to get the hell out. I don't know how she left. I don't know that story about her saying goodbye to her kid at school.
Yep,
bro.
Go to grandma's. Like, I'm out of here.
I can't. I can't. I don't know what. I don't. I can't.
Yeah,
I
tough,
can't.
Dude.
Very, very tough. But she somehow does it. Luckily, the kid, don't think he was out there by himself. He had family there. His dad was still there. Anyway, she defects. She gets out, and she has spent the last several years trying to get him out. Gets a hold of the pastor, who then aids him. But again, as you can see, these things go wrong. The broker ends up trying to get him out of there too early.
He got caught.
The people in China weren't ready, and he eventually gets caught by the police. And as far as they know, they still think he's alive.
Not
but
good.
As of
Not
like
good,
January of this year, because I did my research about it, they have been appealing to get his release, but it's probably not going to happen. 17 years old, just gut wrenching. And again, the idea that this country exists, right?
Yeah.
That in this world, that this can actually be a thing, like that we're sitting here talking about this, it's just unbelievable. But it's they don't have the internet. They don't know anything beyond what they're told. And man, it's just an incredibly sad, but also I think it shows how resilient human beings can be.
And the anti-American propaganda that they're raised with, right?
Little kids like singing about
songs about how evil Americans are. Like, whoa.
When she said there's no word for American, only American bastard.
Yeah, American bastard.
Yeah. Sad, very sad. And you're seeing these kids just program like this. God, it breaks your heart. We'll get to our reviews next. Beyond Utopia, Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio one more time. Dark Side of the Stream, episode 186, the documentary series Beyond Utopia on Hulu. How many broken cell phones would you give this documentary?
3.5. It was, it was a little dark for me.
I'm glad you got through it. I figured at one point you were a little dark. I mean, it doesn't get it. I mean, again, the family, spoiler alert, the family does get out, but the kid doesn't.
It's pretty dark, man.
You're talking about a guy who literally has devoted his life to getting these people out of a country.
I appreciated him for his devotion.
You, Pastor, if you're listening, man, you keep it on. I hope you can continue forever and ever and ever. It also is one of those lessons where, some people, I think, give up because they have the mentality that you can't save everyone. He understood that early on and is just doing everything he can to save one at a time. And even though he can't save them all, the ones that he does save, even if it was just one family, it's worth it. Big time, in my opinion.
Crazy.
So, definitely a hard 4 broken cell phones on this one. What are we watching next week?
Well, life short, have an affair. It's been a mantra of mine, and Ashley Madison documentary is.
I think we're gonna, for the first time ever in the history of Dark Side of the Stream, we're gonna have one promo video for 2 weeks. So good job. So we're watching the Ashley Madison documentary.
Yeah, let's learn about Ashley Madison.
All right, cool. Well, I can't wait to watch that. I've never had an account, never had an affair, but
you've never had an affair?
No.
Wow. Well,
it's not me.
We'll have to talk
about
that.
My dad. Look at me. What kind of affair do you think I'm having?
Yeah.
Either way, it's Dark Side of the Stream. I'm Mike the Intern. This is Jay Stevens. We watch movies,
Documentaries.
so you don't have to. It's Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.